But after they leave, he gets a visitor.
I told you everything Supergirl?
Yes. And no.
Yep, it's Power Girl. Sort of. And I have mixed feelings about this. Longtime viewers know I'm a fan of hers and actually prefer Power Girl to Superman for two reasons. No, that's not what I meant. Power Girl has several different origins thrown out there, but a common theme is that she's a fish out of water. Superman was originally meant to show the immigrant experience, but now he stands for the American way. He's that synonymous with the U.S. Not saying that immigrants can't, of course. I just mean that Power Girl seems to better represent the stranger in a strange land situation than he does. This leads into the second point, which is that at her best, she seems far more human to me than Superman. I think the era where Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray wrote and Amanda Conner did the excellent artwork really made her feel more like a Marvel character, actually. She was a New York-based business giant with a myriad of incredible powers, and despite both those things, she's still relatably human and an incredibly fun character. In essence, the steps that distanced her from Superman became large enough that even their common powers don't really make her seem like she's I don't want to seem like I'm putting down Supergirl here. Look, for instance, at She-Hulk and compare her to the Hulk. She never lives in his shadow. Power Girl's the same, at least to me. She's far more interesting than the original, and yet the problem is that her origin is tied to the origin of someone so well known and has the same superpowers as Superman. How do you explain that when you're adapting the character to another medium, huh? Because, you see, she started out as an alternate universe version of another character who is the distaff counterpart to the flagship character of DC Comics. Now, that is a hell of a silly place to start if you're going to dump all of that stuff all at once. It's kind of like Spider-Man's villain Venom. Each time the story of the costume's origin is told, it's different because there's no way you can get into the frickin' Secret Wars and all that crap if you're making a cartoon or a film or an Ultimate comic or whatever. This seems like a fairly logical way to go about it, actually. Supergirl is firmly established in the continuity, so make her a literal clone, yet with a substantially different backstory. I mean, that is an intriguing approach. I mean, I think the only downside to this is that she seems to be devoid of those characteristics that I found appealing in her comic book version. See, I'm shallow, but I'm not that shallow. Supergirl soon senses that Hardcastle bought it, and Martian Manhunter fills them in on a report that announced that the scientist from her dream was also found dead. But only one network had the story, so while Arrow and Supergirl plan to investigate the scientist's place of work, Question wants to talk to the reporter that broke the story. And the thing is, if you don't have a face, it's easy to be a master of disguise. So he picks up the smarmy dickhead in a cab. Turns out that Galatea, that's the name for the Power Girl-like character, slipped him the story. They'd been dating for about a week.
She have bad dreams?
More like tossing and turning.
Overnight visits for a relationship under a week? Wow. Galatea certainly has Kara's super speed. Meanwhile, at Nouveau Gen, Arrow is infiltrated dressed as a guard, and giving the story that the scheduled guy won a trip to Aruba. That's to cover his tracks. He paid for the guy to go on such a trip, actually, which is why it must suck that the guard on duty doesn't even bother to check it out. I guess you can still deduct it as a superhero business expense. Inside, they find out that these guys have been experimenting with Supergirl's DNA, creating a clone.
It's me.
A little more mature than you.
Sounds like Black Canary has some competition for Green Arrow's dreams. Galatea is actually there, though, and draws them into a holographic simulation room for the confrontation. As she puts it, she's a little more mature and a lot better trained, so it's going to be a hard fight, and there will be one, not just because they're hero and villain, or that they're two sexy girls either, but because their mental link is a liability that Galatea can't abide. While they smash each other up, Question arrives. We know how Arrow got in. We can guess how Batman would get in, deftly overriding the lock, or Superman would come in just brazenly flying through the wall to show how incredibly powerful he is. Everyone has their own way. The Question proves his is the best.
Fell in love again. What am I gonna tell my friends? It just happened. You walked in my door, and now I don't wanna be alone no more. Oops, I've done it. Told you how I feel. Just hope this time that our love is real.
That is fucking style. His arrival is to explain what this is really about. While Supergirl's dreams show what she's doing, Galatea's was getting her conscience. As proof, he challenges her to kill him, and she hesitates. Perhaps this is the chance for her to take the first step on the road to go from villain to hero, and to... Or not. Well, the powers that be decide to shut the whole thing down, gravely wounding Galatea while our heroes escape the blast. Arrow naturally wonders why whoever did this, and the Question believes that he knows. It's because of that time with Superman. Someone out there wants a superhuman of their own in case anything like that happens again. And it's indeed both the military and Professor Hamilton of Star Labs who is treating the injured Galatea for the inevitable return. Oh, yeah, sorry, this calls for a dun-dun-dun! Fearful Symmetry introduces the Question and the subplot that we're going to be exploring for a while, so that already makes it important. But it handles both these well, plus with a fun story that moves quickly without leaving the viewer scrambling to keep up. It's got action, comedy, and intrigue all crammed into its short runtime, and showcases just how well this new format could be used, exploring the Arrow-Supergirl dynamic that was first established with Initiation, and showing how allowing these minor characters into the spotlight could show the diversity of the DC universe.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Germs outpacing antibiotics? And boy bands? Come on, who would gain from all this?
Who indeed?